Hello students, today we continue with 11.3 and we're going to be looking at the kidney. So the skill for this section is for you to be able to draw and label a diagram of the human kidney. So here we have the structure of the human kidney, and you have to understand the different parts of the human kidney and what each part does, so the function. So let's understand that the kidney functions in two ways. It has to filter the blood and remove all of the toxic waste materials from the nitrogenous wastes. And it has to act as a water balancing system. So it has to use up some of the water that you intake, right? But and some of that water needs to go into the production of the waste, but it has to balance it so that you don't dehydrate in the process. So here we see that first thing we're going to talk about in looking at the structure is that blood enters the kidney via the renal artery and exits the kidney via the renal vein. Now, think about it. If the function of the kidney is to filter the blood and remove all those unwanted wastes, and to also use some of the water in this process, then that means that the type of blood that is coming in is going to be very different from the blood that comes out after it gets filtered. Now, the blood gets filtered in these specialized structures called the nephron, which will produce the urine. So inside the kidney, and this is a very big picture of the kidney, and it only shows you a few nephrons, when in reality your kidney has millions of nephrons. But here you see the structure of the nephron, which is composed of a medulla section and a cortex section. So each individual structure here is a nephron. Now it is here where the blood gets filtered, depending on how it gets deviated here through the renal artery. So once the blood gets filtered, the urine gets transported. So the urine, of course, is the waste. And remember that urine is mostly urea. This is going to get transported from the kidneys. It's going to go into the renal pelvis, and then it's going to go out the ureter. So out the waste here, out the waste through the ureter, and is going to go into your urinary bladder before it is ready to be discharged. So, of course, the waste is different, the urine is different than the blood that comes out through the renal vein. And here we see another picture, a more simple picture, right, showing you the different parts of the structure of the human kidney. Okay, so we know that it's the osmoregulators that have this kidney because they need to maintain a stable osmolarity inside their bodies. All right, the essential understanding, which we've kind of touched upon already, is that the composition of the blood in the renal artery is different than the renal vein, right? Because the blood that goes in gets filtered through these nephrons. So that means that the blood that comes out is going to have the elimination of waste. This is why someone who is suffering from renal failure, this could be a toxic process, right? Because if the nephrons are unable to eliminate the waste, the person will suffer from some sort of toxic shock, as the blood that comes back in still keeps some of these wastes. So let's talk a little bit about blood in the renal vein. So blood in the renal vein, and this is the blood that is coming out of the nephron, out of the kidney, and it's going back into your body. So if you want to think of this as clean blood, right? Blood that's been removed of all the nitrogenous wastes, is going to have less urea, because large amounts of urea have been removed via the nephron and are now in the urine on the way out of your body. They're also going to have less water and solutes, but the amount of water that gets removed depends on the individual and the level of hydration. And this is why it's important to drink water, right? If you drink water, that means that your kidneys are functioning properly and they're going to be able to dilute these nitrogenous wastes into urea properly. If not, if you have very little water in your system, then the kidneys aren't able to function properly. Also, this blood is going to have less glucose and oxygen. Now, they're not eliminated, it says here, but they are used in the kidney to generate energy. So that means that glucose that is in your blood, right, because glucose is part of your blood, and the oxygen that's part of your blood is going to be involved in some type of cellular respiration process where energy is going to fuel the metabolic reactions. And then this blood coming out of the renal vein is also going to have more carbon dioxide. And this is because, of course, if cellular respiration is happening here, that means that CO2 is going to be a byproduct of that metabolic reaction. So here we have the structural organization diagram of the kidneys. Here we see one kidney. Remember, we have two kidneys, right? So here's just showing you one kidney. But mammals, we have two kidneys. I guess that's important to mention on either side of the back of our body. And within the kidney, you have millions of nephrons, which are the structure that actually filter the blood. And in the next videos, we're going to look at the composition of the nephron in sections, looking at the cortex region of the nephron and looking at the medulla region of the nephron. But that is it for today.